Will Call of Duty Gulf War retcon anything that Black Ops 2 did? Now I'm talking story-wise, as we know that Call of Duty likes to revisit older characters or reuse characters that have worked in the past. And one thing that they aren't afraid of doing is bringing back characters to life or changing certain things about their characters. And I am referring specifically to Alex Mason and Frank Woods. These two characters are probably the most famous among the crop of Black Ops characters, and in Black Ops 2 that takes place between 1985 and 1989, and also after the events of Call of Duty Cold War, we see Frank Woods become a cripple after having both of his knees blown off, and Alex Mason is presumed dead and wouldn't be seen for at least 30 years. But would Call of Duty Gulf War decide to rewrite history and include both of these characters in their newest Call of Duty and say that Black Ops 2 will be retconned and it will be remade to better fit their current timeline that is also set within the rebooted Modern Warfare series? Now that's a legit question to ask because many fans, including myself, have wondered how the game would work now. In Black Ops 2, you see the world pretty advanced in the technology that they are using, as well as the guns. They seem more futuristic, and it's only 2025. However, in Modern Warfare 3, things are still fairly regular when it comes to our weapons and our equipment, and Modern Warfare 3 takes place in 2023, only 2 years before the events of Black Ops 2. But going back to the focus of the video, I can see Call of Duty pulling out another Alex or Graves situation, especially with Alex Mason, and having him assist in the Gulf War with only a few people knowing that he is alive, and then after the events of the game, reverting to the shadows once again. This could be a way to incorporate the original protagonist of the Black Ops games and continue to show the story of one of Call of Duty's oldest characters. However, another problem that can be seen with bringing Mason back in the Gulf War is that it takes place in the 90s, and by 1990, Mason would be about 57 years old. Now, retirement for a CIA agent is 60 years old. However, I don't see Mason running around the desert taking heads when he is nearing 60. But I could be wrong, and bringing Mason back would also answer one of Call of Duty's biggest questions ever. Did Mason survive the events of 1989 after Woods shot him? Now, with Frank Woods, I think the situation is much harder in terms of bringing him back, because unless you undo the events of Black Ops 2 completely, then Woods is still crippled in 1990 and cannot assist in any way during the events of the Gulf War, and Woods would actually be 60 years old by the time 1990 came about. We could have a small cameo regarding Woods, where maybe he is visited by Adler, assuming that he appears in the game, which I believe that he will, and we can see Woods in a wheelchair and where he's at mentally. Now, another thing that we could do is just ignore both Mason and Woods and not acknowledge them in Gulf War, as we can assume that as the audience, we already know why they aren't present. But what about those people that have gotten into Call of Duty only recently, and their first Black Ops game was maybe Cold War? And what if they are expecting to see the gang back together for Call of Duty Gulf War? And I am referring to Mason, Adler, Woods, and Hudson. And yeah, I haven't even mentioned the fact that Hudson is also dead by the time that the Gulf War rolls around. Now, all three of those characters were a big part of Cold War, and they are all either dead or out of commission, except for Russell Adler. So if you're a new customer and you go and buy Gulf War hoping to see the gang back together, you're only gonna see Adler. You may be disappointed, and I think Treyarch knows this, so there may have to be some references to these characters or even a consideration to bring them back and retell or tell completely new stories for newer audiences.